That does
Tonight's
finish
guest
fast,
is
doesn't
not Keith. I know. I always get caught out with that. It needs like a fade in or something.
I even make the video so it's got a fade, but it's just like bang. Here's me.
Yeah.
I haven't even decided what I was going to pour yet, and we're live.
We are live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another blether. We've just been having a look through all the comments, so you guys are at it early tonight.
You guys are really on it. Like, it's insane. I think we need to do this more often and just not tell you who the guest is. So you all just turn up and saying, who's the guest? Who's the guest?
We've got lots of activity. Good evening, Ed, Scott, Tim, Dave, I think I've seen. John Massey's there. Danny's jumped in. Frank, great to see you. Got Fraser, David Muir. Everyone's on. It's
and everyone's drinking Glengarry. Look at that. So many Glengarries. You guys are...
Everyone. Are they really everyone?
Everyone, yeah. Pretty much.
Hello, Jared. How did you get through here? We have somebody who's not in bed yet.
Oh, is he drinking Glengarry too?
Just dipped in his dummy. You want to say hello? You say hello to everybody. Hello. You waving?
Hey.
He's waving, but his hand is down. But...
He was so good running up and waving at me yesterday, the day before.
Yeah.
He did me with a big stick afterwards, but it's cool.
I know. There was lots of stick poking. You manage?
Tomfoolery.
Yeah, stick poking tomfoolery, we'll call it. That sounds good.
Sounds like my Friday night out.
So yesterday, I guess a good place. Well, before we get into that story, what's in your glass cap tonight?
Well, we should also address the elephant in the room, that there is no guest tonight. So that's probably the biggest thing we should tell people who are all still guessing about the guest tonight.
I think the query was, what do they drink with no guest?
Okay.
They're stuck on, what do they pour if there's no guest? Maybe a shot bottle and a Glengarry or an Ardmore of some sort. What's wrong with... Oh, dear God. So my wife just walked in with a toy elephant, and I was like, what are you doing? She's like, there's an elephant in the room.
See, like, that's funny. That's comedy timing right there.
It was great. It's a dad joke all over it. So yeah. What are you drinking? What's everyone at home? What have they gone for?
So I have been talking about Ardmore quite a lot lately, because we should all love Ardmore.
We do. Who doesn't love Ardmore?
I've got some Ardmore, but I made the mistake of not opening it before I went live. So just going to lay it down for a second, and maybe get to that in a second.
The only Ardmore I have, and I have to do something about this, is this guy, but the cork is split.
Oh no! Is that the centenary bottling?
Yeah, the 12-year-old. So yeah, this happened. I think I tried to open this when Alistair was on as a guest.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and it split. Oi, shushed.
Is the elephant being battered in the room?
He's just banging on the door with his butt. He's on the inside. He's right here. So yeah, I can't have Ardmore unless I don't have a bottle opener nearby. So I'm going to go for Little Brown Dog's Brackla.
Nice.
Sherry Hoggy, 57.4%, 13 years old. This is one of the last year's releases.
That's cool. So we saw Andrew a couple of days ago, which was, I think, was what you were to talk about a minute ago when we were all...
Yeah. Well, we saw him yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
It was. It was, well, what day is today? Oh, it's Thursday.
We do this every Thursday, Mike. Famously, every Thursday.
Oh, me. On Tuesday, yes, we got the chance to go up and visit the site of where the new Inverurie Distillery is planned for. I'm getting dragged by the thing. Here we go. Oh. Bye. Such a professional setup we have here.
It's just happy chaos, isn't it?
This would never happen with Roy.
He famously doesn't have toddlers coming in during the chat. That was so nice to meet him properly at the festival the other day.
I know. I mean, there's so much I want to talk to everyone about tonight, and we're probably going to be worse without a guest, though, keeping this on some form of straight road. But let's go back to Inverurie. Some of the guys were commenting on the post that we were sharing through the whiskey shop. So just to be clear, it's not an Inverurie whiskey shop adventure or distillery. We are nothing to do with the planning or the building or anything like that. We have been approached to kind of give assistance or to help out in terms of the customer bases and whether our customers would be interested in it. So that's about as far as it goes for Inverurie Whisky shop side of things. But yeah, they had an open day on Tuesday. Everyone was invited, and it was a great turnout. We got to have a look around the building, see the plans, speak to Jonathan, who's the gentleman who's bought the site, and Gareth Roberts, who we had on a couple of weeks ago in the chat, was there talking about the distilling side of things, where things are going to be happening and whatnot. So it's all quite exciting. Yes, it's another new distillery. I guess is where the story is always going to end up. Is, do we need another distillery? Is there still an excitement about new whiskey on the go? Certainly off the back of the cask scandal that's going to be coming out later on tonight series. And it did get me thinking, because obviously Jonathan is looking at ideas of fundraising, getting investment, and they approached us. Not approached us, their general chat about what would people be looking for in an investment. So something I'll put out to the guys who are watching at home. What would make you invest, or what would make you want to invest in a distillery that's new? What would you look to get out of whatever investment you put in? And what would you? Maybe not how much would you be willing to pay, but is it shares? Is it casks? Is it bottles? What would pique your interest? Because we've had quite a few. Clythe launched their cask investment scheme last week, I think. And
Dornick did as well. The Thompson brothers have been doing rounds over all the whiskey chats and platforms.
Yeah, the Stewie distillery just going to launch their cask. I don't think they've got a cask investment scheme as such, but it's more
of crowdfunding for the distillery. But I don't know what you get back out of that. I haven't really read. I was reading about it a little bit earlier before we went live. I don't know what you get back after helping them crowdfund, or whether it's just you're just doing it because you really want to see them get a distillery. I mean, if you guys could crowdfund me, getting a nicer house, awesome. Let's get it.
Everyone buys you a brick.
Yes, that would be good.
That'd be great. So David Muir is asking for 40% return in 5 years. Funnily enough, in some of these cask investment schemes or scams, they call them, that's the kind of figures that you're being touted. So we'll come round back to that situation tonight as well, I'm sure. But yeah, in terms of new distilleries, lots of them still appear to be kind of on the go. What's your thoughts on it? Kind of working for a well-established, one of, if not the oldest distillery in Scotland, still kicking about in the quaint old northeast. Do you welcome the news? What's the talk of the distillery?
I know, it was funny because I was like, well, I'll just sneak over for a nosy at the neighbours and like, nobody will know who I am. And of course I kind of turned up and Andrew's there from Little Brown Dog and Gareth, who I met a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, it's just bollocks that up. But, like when I went over, I just kind of thought, they kind of, a couple miles away from us, would that impact on us? But when I saw what they're doing, it is completely different from what we're doing. I think, we're all trying to carve out our own little wee kind of USP, like our own little niche. We've all got like something that's different. So I think there is space for that, because it's like they're kind of doing it as a sort of tourist side of things as well, and a cafe type. Oh, I'm not giving away secrets, but it was an open public consultation. So
Yeah.
I think, there are a lot of distilleries, but have you ever heard of a distillery struggling with visitors? Nobody's shutting down because they didn't have enough people going through. So I think I think it's going to. It's going to draw people into this wee corner, because let's say they get built, they get their planning, and then Bon Accord goes through. You're going to have like 3 distilleries within like, I don't know, how far is that, like 30-mile radius of each other?
Yeah.
So
it takes it closer to Aberdeen, isn't it? And you've got the airport there. Certainly.
It might keep people in our little kind of area and stop them heading straight off up to Speyside and filling their suitcases up and then having no space for whiskey on their way back.
Yeah. We on a kind of similar, a smaller scale, but a similar kind of idea. Obviously, we've got a pub in Inverurie, and right next door to us is call it a rival pub. They're not. We work better when we're both open and doing well. And they had some issues just after we bought the pub, and we noticed us go quite quiet because people from the town weren't coming up because we're a little bit out of the centre. Like, well, we're not going all the way up there for one pub. And you need both pubs to be doing well and both pubs to be open for people to make the effort to come up. So I guess there's that kind of, the competition attracts people, then they'll come and do the wee tour, because there's obviously Glendronach and involved in this wee corner as well, and Glenglassaugh to or Knockdhu to a further extent. We should really start the campaign of Aberdeenshire being a wee region or a protected locality or whatever we want to call it. But there's certainly
you have to start the campaign, because you've been saying this for ages, that we should have this like little wee area as our own kind of Highland.
Even
what do you call
Highland,
East
taking like Adam and these kind of guys would be it.
Well, you can start the campaign now. This is a lot. I'm trying to read it at the same time as talking, but it's quite a long question, so I'm just going to concentrate on reading the question.
Mm-hmm.
My question, all of these new distilleries, is who are you selling to? I haven't got my glasses on. Who are you selling to?
So I'm going to. Andrew is watching. Good evening, Andrew. I am plugging our stuff tonight. I've got a wee Little Brown Dog in here. He's saying that the Strui gets you shares in the distillery. There are different levels depending on how much you put in. Starts at a discount in the hotel. Obviously, the Dornoch Hotel. The castle there is owned by the same guys, the Thompson brothers. Then access to bottles, and then up to discount on casks. So you are getting, depending on how much you invest, you're going to get a certain level of discount off a bottle or shares and things like that. So they've got that all structured. They know, and this is what David Stark is getting onto. I have never heard you say I don't have my glasses on, and all the time we've been blethering together, Kat. Do you want me to read the question out?
I am meant to wear glasses for reading, but I don't. But I've just noticed recently, trying to see the chat, like I'm just like getting closer and closer to it. So I maybe do actually just need to wear glasses to see it. But yeah, I'm gonna let you read out David's question.
So it's a very valid point, and this is something that we brought up with Jonathan Gareth yesterday when I had a wee coffee with him. My question to all the new distilleries is, who are they selling to? Kythe and Strui know exactly who their audience is. Some of them is a case of Field of Dreams. If you build it, will they come? But will people come just because you built it? I guess, it goes, there's a few indie bottlers that have been very successful Ardnamurchan with Adelphi. They knew exactly who. They knew there was a demand for something, and they really focused on that West Coast remote kind of feel. Keith have got such the two stalwarts of the industry with so much knowledge, so much backing there that it's hard to see them not having people behind them backing them, following the know that the liquid is going to be pretty stonking with Johnny and Angus involved. The Struy of the Thompson brothers, they know their audience, they know who they're catering to. They've kind of had the flurry of distillation with the Dornish distillery. They know what they're wanting to do. I guess what they're doing is rebuilding the idea of Dornish distillery, but in a more suitable location, a more suitable site. So that they know the audience, they know what the audience are wanting. The indie bottling's backing it. Who else am I thinking of? Even I guess Rassay back in the day, they took out their As We Wait and this kind of idea, knowing that if that sells well, that's the spirit they're going to go for. I don't know what Inverurie have in mind for that. There is a case of somebody's come along and said, I'm going to build a distillery. It's going to be great for the area. We're going to do this, 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 and this, and this, and this. And it's going to be fantastic. People are going to invest. And now that he's got the site, we've got the building, the planning's going in, he's now thinking, right, who are the people I need to target? It's almost, he's started here and now he's going to go back here to find out how to get back up. So it's an interesting question, David, and I don't think they quite know the answer to it yet.
I don't think so. I think because some of the distilleries you just mentioned have built it solely on place. Rassay, Tyree, for example, Cabrick. Cabrick's all about reviving the tradition of illicit distillation, and also about reviving the Cabricks. Of course, all the private land ownership and everybody left, and it's all about bringing that back. They're very specifically building because of the place, whereas I think with the Inverurie one, it was more, I want to build a distillery. This is for sale, and it'll fit the bill. So, yeah, I don't think from what I gather, I don't think they've quite decided what the target audience is or what the kind of vibe is, because there's a little bit of everything. It's a fab place to have a cafe. But it's a great place for a cafe because so many people walk through there. But yeah, I think the jury's out on that one. Time's going to tell to see. I mean, they're doing some cool things. They propose some really cool things like traditional distillation, that sort of farm to glass type. Yeah. Vibe.
So their aim is to be, and they reckon it's going to be Scotland's first single estate Highland single malt, in that the barley is going to be grown on site.
100% of the barley for distillation.
That's what he's pitching. But so 100% of the barley will be grown on site, maybe not malted on site, but grown on site. A little bit Kilcoman-esque, where there'll be 100% production of certain whiskies will go on to will be 100% produced on site, but some will be bought in. They'll have their own small malt flooring where they'll dry the barley and this kind of stuff. So yeah, they want to have that aspect of everything, and then they're going to have their own bottling hall. He's even mentioned, and I think he wanted to, this is a little bit unorthodox. He wanted to build a yard for still creation manufacturing, and bring people in to build stills on site. I think I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very excitable, Jonathan, and a lot of the things I think a lot of it won't come to fruition, or certainly not right away. I think his target at the moment is get a distillery in and build from that. But, it's all very well and good getting a distillery in. If you get your investors to buy your casks. But what do you do after that when your 1,000 people are sated with their casks because of demand for other bottlings? What happens in 5 years and 10 years? But I guess he's going to bring in the guys to make those decisions. There's names going around, quite big names in the industry. I won't say them out, who are going to be coming in and working for them. Again, Gareth's obviously got great reputation and great history with Nick Nean and Iron American, Lindors. He's also working at the Castleton Mill up at Dunnet Bay, with Rock Rose Distillery. So, he's got history, and I think he's going to be a large part of the production and the push for this. The respect he has in industry is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they've proposed not to change the actual steading. They're just going to kind of refurbish it because it's such a beautiful building. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because distill and spirit by 2026, which seems very ambitious, especially if you're doing it all from your own homegrown crop. But yeah,
great plans, and we'll be watching with keen eyes. I think the whole of the Northeast and probably beyond. I'm sure guys like David will be watching with interest to see what's happening with all the new distilleries. It will be interesting to look back in 5 years' time and say, right, it's 2030. 5 years ago, we had X, Y, and Z distilleries in the planning stage. How many have actually made it, or how many have fallen by the wayside? Because we've got Fed and Tosh as well. These kind of guys, that Barry and that are working on. That's another one that's
what's
creeping
the one
towards.
What's the one at Turriff?
Balmod.
Yeah, because they've just started producing spirit as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
recently.
yeah. And again, these guys have got no. They're a farming family. They've got no distilling background, no heritage in that kind of side of things. And this is whiskey's a big thing. Let's build a distillery and get somebody really well known in Finlay to run it, and hopefully people will come and buy it and visit us. And
do you think Ingvar ever just sits down at the start of the year and goes, for fuck's sake, how many more distilleries am I going to have?
I think we asked him that when he was in, didn't we? He's like, I've just put the book out. There's another 20 fucking distilleries open soon. Yeah.
Oh, we've got a familiar name on. We've got next week's guest turning up a week early with a question for us.
Excellent. So we've got Paul McKendrick, who's on Facebook. For those who are watching on YouTube who don't see the question coming up, I think it's more of a statement. Ultimately, he doesn't think that we need any more new distilleries, but if there's a focus on traditional methods and essentially making a characterful spirit, then all good. Yeah, I guess they're all kind of trying this. Craig Buchan's on from the Cabrach. Good evening, Craig. Also watching on Facebook. So obviously these guys have been through what the guys who in the next 5 years are away to find out. Slightly different being that Cabrach community trust where people can invest into it, but ultimately it's a community project and they want to use the money to revive. So they're not looking at coining it in. They're wanting to use the money for the good of the area and get people involved in that side of things, bring visitors, because it's a great place. It's a beautiful location.
It's beautiful. I love what they're doing. It's one of my ones to watch for. I just obsessed with the Cabrach. They are doing some really cool things. Ewan is just a geeky little genius who I've got a lot of time for. And of course, Alan as well, who's like just a bit of a legend.
Just a bit.
Yeah. We've got a few legends on tonight, though. I'm loving the chat. We've got Paul, we've got Mark, we've got I think it must be Barry, is it? If it's Places with Spirit, is that who's behind?
Barry's watching. We've got Andrew as well, David Sturk on. Good evening to all you guys. Mark Watt says he loves you for fuck's sake.
Scottish people are so good at swearing.
Yeah. I think Billy Connolly said it was the most beautiful word, the word fuck, because it could be used in so many different ways.
It really can. Some of the best ways as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think Paul's got a great point. Just going back to his comment there. So Paul McKendrick from Lady of the Glen, Hannah Whiskies, the traditional methods, and I guess there will become a point when going back to tradition is not new. It's that'll be the norm for a lot of distilleries, and I guess you can only sustain so much by doing that, can't you? You can't, in terms of jobs, if it's not successful, if you're a small distillery, you can only produce so much, especially if somebody like Inverurie are using all their own barley. You can only grow so much. So it's not like you can say, well, we'll just go and buy some more. If that's your ethos, like Springbank, if that's your ethos, you stick to it. And, you kudos to Springbank. They don't say, well, we'll just buy in some more barley because there's demand there and we'll go make a shed load more whiskey. They're like, no, once that's it. They're sticking to it.
Well, it kind of goes back to the tradition of distillation, which was farms. You wanted to diversify, you had the extra grain at the end of the year, and it was always going to be variable on how much grain you had and how much time you had. That's why we have our silent seasons in the summertime, because all the workers used to go bugger off back down to the fields traditionally. So, I mean, I love that ethos of going back to that, especially with the direct firing, because we know how much of an impact that has on the new make spirit, which is very cool. And I think I understood that they were going to try to do that.
Direct firing has an impact?
Well, I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned Glengarry on this chat before, but yeah, I don't know if you heard, but I think there was a lot of sustainability mentioned as well with the Inverurie one in particular, which is fantastic.
They want to open it as a net zero, as a negative, carbon negative distillery.
Yeah, because everything's there on the doorstep as well, especially in Aberdeenshire. We've got everything. We've got all the weathers. We've got all the wind. We've got all the water. We've not a lot of sunshine, but more than some places in Scotland. Enough, exactly. So, yeah, if it's there, then utilize it. And starting from scratch, you can start out with that in mind, which is very, very cool. So yeah, they've got some fab ideas. And
as I said, the ideas are there. If they all come forward and through, then it'll be a great little place. Dog walkers can have a dram while they're walking their dog. And wash their dog. He's putting in a dog wash for that as well.
Wow, like a little dog wash station.
Yep. Halfway around your walk or on your walk, you can stop off at the distillery, wash your dog, get it nice and clean before walking him back, I guess.
So do you know what? Like, taking in everything you can do there, you can have a cup of tea, you can get a dram, you can wash your dog, go to a disco, and make it still. Get married.
Yeah, and they're going to have a cooperage on site as well.
Awesome. Like, this is the start of like a Richard Curtis film. You could just see two dog walkers, like 101 Dalmatians, meeting on Fettineer Estate. Like, oh my God, my dogs are dirty. I know this great place. We can get a drink. This is like a beautiful story. This is what their USP is: romance. And
then 5 years later, they come back to bottle the cask that they made on the first day, and they meet again, and they fall in love.
This is it. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Richard Curtis wrote 101 Dalmatians, though.
Maybe. I don't know. He's done a few things.
Mark is suggesting that we need new distilleries that will sell to independent bottlers. That's it is. You'll know, Mark, and a few of the guys in the chat will know, is how much or how many of the new distilleries, because we have seen quite a few popping up. Nick Nean and Arden Merkin, two off the top of my head, Holyrood. We've got our own shop exclusive Holyrood through Duncan Taylor. Shameless plug. If you can do it, so can I. And so my understanding is quite a few of them do. I guess it's price driven whether you're willing to spend on a cask or not. Barry's. So if Craig Buchan is watching, he's watching on Facebook. Barry is watching on YouTube. Barry's coming to see you, Craig, during the Spirit of Speyside. He's got his Cabrach tour booked. So you guys will see each other then, I'm sure.
Fab. I haven't booked anything for Spirit of Speyside. I need to see what's left. I wanted to go and do the Glenmurray thing with the Copper Cairn guys, but I never went. I never got around to booking a ticket. Are you doing anything for Spirit of Speyside? No.
We're fully booked that weekend anyway, to be honest. We've been fully booked for a while. I think we've got a tour going up to Speyside on the Saturday. I think we're taking a group of guys up. So, yeah.
Cool.
Mark has said it. So some indie bottlers embrace them, others don't. Some new distilleries embrace them, others. I guess the flip side would be if it does become trouble, a struggle for them to sell casks to Joe Public, would these new distilleries then sell to blenders? Would they then go to guys like Edwin and say, do you want to buy some of our casks for your blend? I'm not sure if that's kind of flip it on the other way. Is a demand there that rather than selling to indies or Joe Public, buy our cask. If that dries up, are they going to be like, well, we've made 1,000 casks that we can't get rid of, knock on the door to the Edmontons and the Diageos of the world and say, do you want to buy some of our... So, maybe that's another way of logging some casks, turning it on its head from that way. There's so many comments going through.
There is. I know. I'm getting so distracted trying to read them all. I've got this really weird feedback on my volume as well. So I'm literally hearing you twice, which is really, really strange. I might just, I don't know. I might have to come out.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
I know. It's mic on surround sound. Hooray.
Whiskey Davis saying, I think ours will be initial small scale, but at the heart of Portree, it would grow. So Whiskey Dave from Sky is on, and they are doing a Torre Vague bottling, which
very cool. Can we have some of that, Whiskey Dave, please? Send
100%.
It over.
That is the first Torre Vague indie bottling I've heard of.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool that they're going to let you do it rather than doing through Mossburn. I thought Mossburn would have got the first dibs on that.
Oh yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? We need to know more about it. Let us know when it's available.
100%. There's a scoop for all you guys watching. The Isle Sky Distilleries is Whiskey Dave. What else have we got? Ed Friday said, I suppose many of these new distilleries are very small scale, not aimed at blends. If we all drink these products rather than the Glenfiddich and Glenlivets, it's a totally different market. There is that economy of scale, but again, looking and speaking to Gareth, me and Andrew had a quick chat today about the scale of what they're looking to produce. And it's about 400,000 litres a year, I think, is what we picked up. That's pushing kind of Ardent American level, if not more. I think Andrew thinks it's maybe more. So that's not a small scale distillery. That's a lot. It's small compared to Glenfiddich and Glenlivet, obviously, but who isn't?
It's a lot considering what they're proposing to do as well. With they've got one still directly fired. 2 washbacks, homegrown barley. Like it's a lot for what they've got or proposing to have on site. But maybe that's what they're aiming to get up to. Maybe it's not what they're starting with. Yeah, potentially. I guess it's wait and see.
I guess I'm just. We've got Water of Life joining us as well. Good evening. Welcome along. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. And thank you for having us at the festival.
It's the best fun ever, honestly.
It was. Let's talk the independent festival. We've got enough guys here, so who were there.
We
That
were
we
there.
met. It was great to meet all everyone from the-blether and Aquavita who we met there. Frank and Graham Fraser, and obviously the David and Keith and Mark and all the guys who were down there as the stands. It was a phenomenal, probably the best festival I think I've been to.
Definitely. Yeah, I want to do it all again, but I don't want to do it again as well because
we had this chat, didn't we? It's like
I know it's like if you can't recreate that because everybody knew it was one off, and because it was one off, it was more special.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you don't want it to become just another festival. It has to maybe I don't know, bicentenary, maybe not bicentenary, biannually.
I can't wait for that shit to happen.
Yeah, every 200 years we have this fest. Oh, yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun. Let us know, everybody watching, who was all there. I already apologized last week for hugging everyone. But yeah, you know what, like, just
let us know what your favorite drams were. I was thinking about this the other day again, and I think somebody put a post up. I can't remember if it was Mark put a post up about a sample that they got, and I was like, this is why this festival is so special. Is it's going to go on because you're going to find little bottles that people were sharing, certainly between the vendors. And oh my god, that was from the festival. I got that from Woody or from Bruce or whatever, and can't wait to try it. The festival kind of lives on for so long afterwards. It was so. Let us know what your favorite whiskey was that you picked up. I think mine was probably the first one I tried. The 28-year-old Aaron from Woodrow's.
I didn't really get. We didn't really get to. We hardly moved to the room because we were talking to people so much. Like, I don't think we actually tried that much whiskey, to be honest.
I know. I remember being in Aberdeen at the international, the National Whiskey Festival, and I went as a punter. I had like 4 drams the whole session. I left there probably more sober than I went in. I was like, that's raging. But I bet so. It was the first time I met Gregor at Lady the Glen and ordered a couple of cases off the back of it. But yeah, I just kind of felt that I missed down in Leith. I didn't feel like I missed anything, even though we probably didn't have as much whiskey as we could have done. It was such a good vibe, so much fun.
Yeah, it was just nice because even like the people who were running the stands were like kind of coming out and mingling about with everybody and going to see like folk and like no matter how like turning around, you just always spot somebody you knew as well, whether it's the Blethering guys or just like really cool whiskey guys, or I was the biggest geek ever. It's just like in my like geeky best life.
It was so much fun. Well, Andrew's saying it needs to happen it needs to happen again because he missed it. So obviously we need to get Andrew back. Maybe every 4 years we could like do a whiskey Olympics.
I like the sound.
So we could get the vendors as part of the stand. They have to compete against each other in some form of sport. And so instead of the movie, we have like a pre-whiskey Olympics, like Mark, Dave, and Andrew having a egg and spoon race or something.
Yes, can we do that? That would be amazing.
Three-legged race. That would be even better.
So, but like, because a few people were saying at the day itself, it'd be good if it's like a traveling entity, like a little bit like Whiskey Talks does, so it'd be like Leith, and then a bit like, I don't know, not Edinburgh because nobody would be able to afford to stay there. Like, well, I suppose Leith is Edinburgh, but like, I don't know, where else would they go? Aberdeen. Although, I guess like part of the draw of it was the fact that it's like the heritage of Leith as well, isn't it? A little bit kind of in that theatre.
And a lot of the bottlers are based there as well. It's easy to get to, I guess.
Walking over with their boxes of stuff. But yeah, everyone's saying the same, that they want it to happen again. Even Paul saying he wants to go back as a punter. I mean, you were part and part. When I saw you, you were definitely on the other side of the table. But yeah, still working as well, obviously.
So David is meeting Roy for lunch next week. Just saying.
I feel like he should have put a wink at the end of that as well. I'm really bad at winking, actually. But yeah, all right.
Maybe they're organising something. Mark Watt is saying a three-legged race. So three-legged race pest would be great. What we would do is you have the whiskey festival first, and then the whiskey Olympics afterwards.
Yes, this sounds like a lot of fun. I feel like writing the the health and safety evaluation beforehand would be a bit of a ball ache.
It would be. Yeah, it would be tough.
That'd be a lot. Do you know, the sack race was the only race I won at school? Because believe it or not, like looking at me, all you think is athletic, right?
Absolutely.
The only race I won at school was the sack race.
Is that because you're the only one that fit in that could see over the sack as everyone else? Because you're so tall, you know.
Massive. Yeah, I just look small because I'm on a camera, but like real life, massive, legs up to here. We should definitely do this.
I'm really excited about this chat going on about the winking and shushing and all this.
Winking at me, David Stark's winking at me. I'm kind of quite excited about that, actually.
I'm not surprised if Greg is watching you that you won the tug of war all the time.
Yes, you definitely would have won the tug of war. And I love that you came back to give me a hug, because I complained loudly to everybody that you promised me a hug in the blether and then just like shook my hand and kind of gave me like, what's up, man? And then like walked off. So thank you very much for coming back and giving me my hug. I do need a step ladder though, because you are very, very tall. But yeah, it was just like so much bants. If we could just go back and relive the moment again, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. The only regret I have, and it's not a festival thing, it's a me thing, is I didn't book the weekend and just go down, stay on the Friday night, because there were so many people there that I maybe see very rare, like Rick and Leanne and Felix and these guys that who are friends through not just the Blethering but the Whisky Academy and chatting online and that. I just wish we could have spent more time with these guys and gone out afterwards and had a few drinks and just properly caught up. But if it's happening again.
A lot of good pictures afterwards as well. I saw a lot of after parties afterwards. So yeah, next time we won't get a train that breaks down and I won't have to deposit you into somebody's care to take you back north again.
I managed that all by myself.
Well done.
I'm quite proud of myself for that. Yeah. Just a chance conversation with Chris at Little Brown Dog as he was packing up, and he says, "Oh, I'm just heading straight up the road." He was picked up. I was like, "Well, you could be my saviour."
I know, because I love the fact that I organised everything for going down, but I was like, "Wait, how are you getting home?" You're like, "Don't know."
I knew how I was getting to Aberdeen.
Yes.
Aberdeen by midnight. Just no way of getting to Aberdeen from Aberdeen to Inverurie.
Home. Well, you managed it well.
The fact that I got home an hour early, I even had time to go to the pub.
Well, I know, because I messaged you and said, "Are you okay? Are you home yet?" And you put question mark. I'm on Willis's floor. I'm like, "Oh my God, where are you?" Because I was like, same with my pal. I was like, "I don't know where Mike is. His wife's going to be so angry. I think I've lost him." He hasn't even got pajamas.
She would have been more angry with you than she was with me.
She would be more angry with me if I'd lost you.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm glad. I'm not sure I believe that. But no, we're glad it all ended well.
Mm-hmm.
Been a lot of fun. And then before that, of course, was Fife Festival, 2 weekends before that, which was also awesome as well. What a great festival that is. Really, really cool. They had some great people down there too. Don't remember a lot of it, but I know I enjoyed myself. It was Really careful. Tip for next time: eat before you go. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we did that.
We did.
For
We walked miles to find somewhere to eat.
We should have just went to the shop for a baked tatty next door, shouldn't we? Or coloured skink.
Yeah.
As Andrew's saying on Facebook, getting to the whiskey is the important part. Getting back always just kind of happens. It's very true. And we always seem to manage it, don't we?
Everyone's so nice. You just need to keep asking around, and usually somebody's there to help out. So
exactly.
It all works out in the end.
So, quick question for the guys at home who are watching. Apart from the Independent Spirits Festival, what's your go-to? What's your must-attend on the calendar of festivals?
Especially for all the guys that are watching that are in the industry that work at all the festivals, what's the one that you guys enjoy going to? Or what's the ones to avoid where they've got the biggest rammy?
I'm going to pick another dram now, actually. And yeah, I'm going to go for Woodrow's 10-year-old. This is from last year. It's going to go in. I still haven't
tried to get into my bottle yet because I'm very conscious of the fact we don't have a guest. So me trying to get into my bottle is just going to be very, very obvious.
It'd just be me sitting laughing at you and nobody talking, which doesn't make for good viewing.
It doesn't.
I guess we could spin round a conversation. I'm going to go back to what Craig Buchan asked, and I think it's given the audience, it'd be good to put this out to you guys as well. He was saying, do we think the expose tonight on the BBC might make it harder for these new distilleries to raise funds through cask sales? There's a lot of negativity kind of. I've said there's a lot. It's come out. It's kind of now in the public eye, I suppose. A lot of people in the industry have known about these scammers and try to warn. We certainly do it at Inverurie. People coming in and listen to or ask us for advice. And kind of the only advice we really give is to do your due diligence. And if in any doubt, don't do it. Or go to a distillery that's offering it and make sure that the cask exists and there's a buyback. So, if it's not making the money that you think it's going to make, the distillery will always buy back off you. Might not get the tens of thousands of profit that you want, but the cask exists and it's safe. It's going to be looked after. That's kind of the advice that we give. You hear some of the stories that just come out in that article about the poor woman who sold her house to buy £100,000 worth of casks and lost it. It's like,
do you know what always surprises me though, and I get this all the time? So the amount of people that so I'm just getting distracted by all these different festivals coming through. The amount of people that email the distillery itself because they've bought or they think they've bought a cask of Glengarry or Ardmore, and they just think it's there at the distillery and they can come and see it. Like they've got no idea what they've bought. Like there's such a lack of information because they haven't bought it directly from us because we don't do it directly from the distillery. Yeah. So, and it's either they bought it for somebody dodgy or they bought it for someone that's not even explained properly to them what they have actually invested in, what they own. Because it's just there's such a lack of information out there, and I don't understand enough of it to explain to them fully. I mean, I don't know where they bought it from. I can't help them with that. I don't have a record of any of that information for them, and I'm just so cautious about. I just don't want to tell people the wrong information. I don't want to make things worse for them as well. I don't want them to panic. Them thinking, oh my God, I've been scammed. Or maybe they haven't been. They've maybe bought something legitimate. I just don't have it. There's just so much. It stresses me out. Yeah. And I get so many emails about it, like weekly basis, either people asking to buy casks or people asking about their cask that they think they have or bought.
Yeah. And I think Martin at the Whiskey Broker, Martin Armstrong of Whiskey Broker, is saying the same thing. He gets so many people phoning him for the warehousing and saying, could we come and see our cask? We think it's with you. And that's it.
Yeah.
well, we've got that cask, but it's not your name on it, or people have just got this list and started selling casks that belong to other people. I know how people can be peddled into it and kind of being harassed or hoodwinked into it, but if you're spending £100,000 on casks, you've got to do more than due diligence, don't you? There's a large part of me feels sorry for these guys who are kind of duped into it, but there's a bit of me is like, why would you spend that amount of money without, if you've got that money to spend, make sure that the thing is real. You wouldn't buy a car without test driving it, or at least looking at it through a yard or something.
I know. I think some of it's a lack of understanding of the value of whiskey, for example. If you don't know anything about the whiskey industry, if you see the odd really expensive bottle behind glass in a high-end store, or you see the news headlines about the £50,000 bottle of whiskey that's sold at auction, I guess if some snake oil kind of salesman in a suit tells you this romantic story about how it's Macallan and they broke records at the last whiskey auction, it's very plausible, it's very believable. I guess if you take that at face value and think, oh well, that sounds, that seems like, it makes sense. I can see how people are hoodwinked into it, which just makes it even more scary as well, because there's just far too much of that shit going about.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that there's no regulation, Scott Matheson just popped up. The question: how can you regulate casks being overpriced? I don't know. The way I would think would be to have industry advisors who are trusted, respected guys who are working currently, not former retired guys who are getting paid by neutrals to spin something. If you've got people whose reputation depends on, for example, Andrew, Mark, David, these guys who work constantly in the industry have an advisory role in cask buying, so that people can email them. Guys, I'm just giving you heaps of work here, by the way. I'm not sure if you're going to get paid for it, but some kind of body that is. If somebody says, well, I've been offered a cask of 10-year-old Lefroy and it's going to cost me £30,000, do you think that's fair? What's the kind of current market for it? And we have a group of people who are then saying, well, current trend. There's a site called Whiskey Hunter. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and it does this for auctions. It traces the recent auction prices. So if I have somebody coming into the shop asking to buy one of their collections, say somebody's got a Macallan Folio 1 and they want to sell it, and they've seen it going on another retail site for £25,000, they come into me saying, will you buy this? I want £25,000 for it. Am I hell paying that? I'm going to say, I go on to Whiskey Hunter, type in Macallan Folio 1 and say, look, there you go. This is what the current trending prices are. People aren't spending much more than £8,000-9,000 on it. That's what I would buy it for, because I don't want it sitting on my shelf for ages at that price. I want to be able to sell it. If I put it on at 25 grand, it's not going to be there. It's still going to be there next year. So something like that, if somebody can devise, I don't know how you would do it, some kind of regularly updated cask sales version of that, because all they do is plug into the auction sites, and you get Whiskey Hammer, Just Whiskey Auctions, Highland Whiskey Auctions, Grand Whiskey Auctions, whatever it is, and they say the buyer price, the selling price, the hammer price, so people can kind of keep up to date. So if we can get something like that, but for casks, I think that would be phenomenal, because people could see what they're selling for in real time.
So there's not like a register of like brokers that you could just go and look up and be like, okay, I've been approached by this company, I can go and check. Like, there's not an approved body that regulates them or anything. Like, people can, there's nothing out there, right, at the minute.
There's no regulation. There was an attempt at one. I'm not sure what happened. That kind of went quiet. There's a big backlash because it was founded by a lot of the brokers themselves.
Great for them, yeah.
So yeah. We're regulating who are great brokers. Oh, look, here's us at the top of the list.
We're the best guys. Yeah. It just seems
So,
mental the way the whiskey
but
took
something
off.
like that, but it would have to be neutral. It'd have to be.
It would, yeah. Well, maybe off the back of this expose on BBC tonight, something's bound to come off the back of that, because it's, I mean, literally LinkedIn, Instagram, everything. That's all people are sharing and talking about today, in particular. So,
Yeah,
it might be the sort of.
I think it maybe needs something like that, something like a Joe Public media, because, like I say, we've known it in the industry for years. We've talked about it on chats like this, or on Aquavite, or on whiskey pages on Facebook. People are chatting about it, but like you say, if you're not into whiskey, these are the guys who are getting duped. They're getting a lot of high figures, and they're like, "Wow, that sounds great. Okay, go on. I'll put my life savings into this," without knowing.
I know. My battery's ready to die. You carry on. You're doing great.
Every week. So yeah, it is. It's tough to get ahead. Joe Public to kind of open their eyes to it, and they all think it's too good to be true, or it's great. Let's buy into it. But maybe something like the BBC exposing it and get it in every living room where people who are thinking about it. The downside is probably the ones who are thinking about it are now going to be put off, and that could hit guys like Clythe, guys like Stewry, and other distilleries in the future who rely on that income to get funded, to get open. So it could be a double-edged sword. Great for the indie bottlers, because it would hopefully drive down the price even more, and you guys can get the casks for what they're meant for, and that's getting the cask open, bottles filled on the shelves, and at reasonable prices. So that's something that we could a benefit of what could happen. Mark, I completely agree. Joe Public should have been warned years ago. There should have been something as soon as that. I think it was a Dutch report came out in 2022. As soon as that happened, it went crazy, and so many charlatans came out. For the trained eye, I guess, for the guys in the blether tonight, and for guys who know an AI picture when they see it, casks sitting by a beach, with and all sort, just phenomenally bad images coming up saying "buy your cask from us." Should have been a red flag, but how many people look at that? How many people just look at the figures and think, this sounds great, I'm going to make 500% increase on my $2,000 investment within 10 years. I guess that's the other thing that we always recommend for people is have an out plan, have an end game. You're not going to buy an 18-year-old Brook Laddie, keep it for 20 years, and then pass it on to your son, who's going to keep it for 20 years, because there's going to be no bloody liquid left in it, and you're left with nothing. People don't understand that side of things as well. And it's like, well, what's your end game? How are you going to sell on? Oh no, I'm just going to give it's for my kids or my grandkids or whatever. They're 2 now, and when they're 18th, I'm going to give it. And you're like, well, how the whiskey inside is going to be valuable, but there might not be much left. How old is it when you bought it? And they're like, oh well, the cask was 10 years. So that's a 28-year-old cask that you're giving to your son or daughter. And what are they going to do with it?
I love the idea of cask just being rolled out on the 18th birthday. Instead of the cake coming through, Dad just pushes the cask through. There you go, son. Happy 18th. Like, this is always one of my questions for people as well. Okay, you own it. Then what? Because when we spoke to and Phil.
Phil Fraser.
Yes, because I always want to call. Sorry if you're watching, Phil. I always want to call you Fraser. I don't know why. We saw how much hard work it was for them. Like, they just broke him, and he wasn't even sure whether he would do it again. Like, just the stress of, that process of bottling and stuff. Like, what do you do with it? Because a lot of people own multiple casks and shares in casks. It's like having a share in a racehorse, which I don't get. Like, which bit do you own? Like, surely you want a share of the legs. They're the fastest bit. Like,
surely it's the nose. That's the bit that wins.
True. It's very true. Like, yeah. It's aren't you glad I came back?
It's like, I own a cask. Yeah, I've got shares in a cask. What bit? And I was like, well, oh shit, I've got the bung, not the liquid. I've got
just the bung. I love the word bung as well. We should use it more often. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just a thing, isn't it? Or people who got a little bit too much money just want to find the next thing to invest in sometimes. Yeah.
I was,
go on.
As I say, I was at the hairdresser's, must have been last week.
Liar.
I say hairdresser. There's nothing to dress. I was getting a shave.
In the barber.
In the barber last week. And the guy who was in front of me in the chair was telling his barber, I've just bought a cask. It was on the HMRC website. They were selling some, and I bought it for like £2,000, and I'm going to get like £20,000 back in 5 years. And I'm sitting there thinking, the HMRC are selling casks of whiskey. I've not heard of that at all. So for guys, if you're watching and you've heard of HMRC selling casks of whiskey, let me know. But so I said to the barber, says, if he's in regularly, I would point out that that's worth looking into. I don't think that's something that
this guy thinks he's bought a cask from HMRC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he thinks it must be legit because HMRC wouldn't dupe him.
Well, yeah, nobody would lie about being HMRC because they phone me all the time and send me text messages, asking for my bank account details, and I trust them every time that text message comes through. Like, oh God. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's a blessing that the BBC are showing this tonight, because maybe a lot of these people who have bought whiskey from HMRC, for example, would be like, might look into what I own.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, though. It is a shame for the people who have lost money, because, nobody needs to be doing that at this bloody world we're in, where everything costs a fortune.
Yeah. Jeremy, what is in? Good evening, Jeremy. He's asking, are we going to do an IPO for investing in the-blether? He's got his life savings ready to throw at something. Yes, Jeremy, I will send you all my our bank details, and you transfer all your life savings into it. We guarantee you will get 100% discount on every future blether we run if you do that. I think
free
that's
hugs
fair.
at every festival, a lifetime of bants, shits, and giggles. Like, it's worth the money.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! That sounds like too good to be true.
I know, right? Got to get this merchandise up and running, so you guys can all buy a T-shirt. Because I know you're all desperate to get a T-shirt.
I have a list, guys. Send us your favorite quotes. You've got our email now. It's on the description of the chat. Send us your favorite blether quotes.
Not the one about syphilis, please. That's not going on a T-shirt.
I've got it here just for that.
Oh, I think it was herpes. Wasn't it? I don't think it was syphilis.
The hints of herpes. Yeah.
That's what it was, which is why I'll never work for Burns Foreman. I've just ruined that. But yeah, anything else maybe?
Mark was saying my mom messaged him this morning to make sure he wasn't going to be on the telly tonight. It's 8:00, Mark, so there's no chance you're going to be on it. It would have to be after 9 for you to be
after Watershed. Well, surely it's only a matter of time before you need to get an agent after your stellar performance in the latest film that we saw at the premiere the other weekend there.
I actually heard that shares in socks went through the roof. Yeah. Not stocks,
I love that.
stocks.
I did love that bit Because, like, how often do I try and make a reference on the blether and get completely lost? For example, when I was trying to describe the game of golf and nobody would help me. And, like, so I totally felt your pain. We were like, why am I talking about socks? Every week inside my head, I'm like, why are you talking about this? Stop now. And you just can't. You go down the rabbit hole. For anybody that hasn't seen the film, though, definitely check it out. Or documentary film documentary. There you go. It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and I think we put a link up the last time, but waterlifefilm.com I think is the link. You can type that in and you can download the film for a bargain fee. If you invest into the blether, you get a 0% discount on all purchases of the Independent Spirits film as well. Another great perk.
Awesome. Yeah. Give us your money. We'll take really good care of it. I should have done like a crowdfunding for whenever you take the piss out of me for my crappy shelves. Crowdfunded some new shelves. I had to buy those buggers myself. I should have been thinking ahead.
I was going to ask what was wrong with your shelf, but it looks like there's a sign. There's just got a squint. I thought it was a shelf squint, but it's not.
Oh, I know. It was like that's a little sign that one of my children made for me one Mother's Day many years ago, before they were teenagers and stopped caring whether I was in the house or not. And so, yeah. Mother's Day this weekend, though, everyone who's got mothers or impregnated women, make sure and go and get them a gift.
Tony was mentioning to me there's a new book out called There's a Baby in My Daddy's Belly. And I didn't know what to make of that. She didn't tell if it was fiction or non-fiction, but I can believe in today's world it's probably going to be true.
Seahorses? The dads have the babies?
Yeah, I know frogs change sex, but that's all natural as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, but
you know
in
what?
the belly, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and twins.
If somebody else could do that shit for me, they're more than welcome to it.
Very true.
We've digressed. We were doing so well keeping it on track with whiskey for a good...
Talking whiskey for I mean, that's been an hour we've been talking whiskey, so, you know.
Now we're on to... I wrote down a whole pile of, what's in the news.
Pregnant men.
Pregnant men, yeah.
If you're a pregnant man and you're watching this, let us know how it feels.
Oh, it'll be 10 times worse than if it was a pregnant woman, trust me. I will never hear the end of it.
Don't you start putting ideas of retorts in my head. I'm going to ignore that completely. It's an argument I'm not going to win. You've been pregnant 3 times. I've never been pregnant, so...
I know, right?
Yeah. Jeremy, you've done it. You've bit. Pregnancy and childbirth is so overblown, it can't be that bad.
Yeah. All right. I'm not even... not taking that one on. I mean, have you ever tried to force a really small human out of a very small hole? No. But, we're not going to talk about that. Definitely not bringing up... Why are we talking about pregnancy? That's insane. Moving on to...
Back to topic?
Yeah.
You said you had things written down. Did you have topics written down to talk about? Is that what
yeah, so I was going to go through World Whiskey Awards. There's all the announcements came out today. There's it's quite global in some of the winners.
Including the name.
World Whiskey Awards, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so Glenallachie, big winner of the best whiskey in the world.
Did they win last year with the 10-year-old?
I don't know, actually. Maybe.
They won something with a 10-year-old last year, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, 12-year-old this year. Great to see. Glengarry, did you notice that Straveg, the Tricara, Glengarry, won?
Yes, I did see that, actually. Yeah, that's very, very exciting. Good for them. We need to get all that on actually. And it's such a nice whiskey. Such a nice. I can't remember which one I tried. It was because they did 2 Glenkeys, didn't they? And I tried one at.
The most recent one was the 11-year-old in the sherry, an Oloroso cask.
So I think that was maybe it. Tried it at 5. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, good for them. That's such a fantastic result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Ryan was, well, they were both at the Leith Festival, and I didn't get the chance to go over and say hello.
I know. I didn't either. I didn't get around that side of the bloody room.
One of the many. They were right opposite Gordon MacPhail's stand, so we were on that side of the room most of the time, but just on the other side.
On the other side, yeah.
That was. So who else were the big winners? I haven't really had the chance to look into.
Who else we have? We have High Coast took world's best single cask single malt. Redbreast for best. Well, I can't read my own writing. I think that says pot still, maybe. Who else do we have? Great Drams took best blend for their Campbellton blended malt.
I've seen that, yeah. Greg, great stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. We had that one from Texas that took best small batch single malt. I can't read what I've written. Striker? I don't know. I wrote this down really quickly earlier. I'm going to be prepared, and I can't read what I've written. But yeah,
you were so prepared. You're more prepared than all I've got written down is I love your goose leaves is what I've got written down here.
I love yours also.
Yeah.
Why have you written that down?
Because I was asking people for their favourite quotes from the weather, and I wrote that down.
That is one of my favourite ones, actually. I really love your goose leaves. But
so,
that would be a nice one on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Jeremy Waters just posted up a comment saying Mark Watt was Mark Watt wasn't speaking on a BBC article. Speaking about BBC articles, a few weeks back there was one on poos. Apparently some people only go once a month.
Where are you
that must be a little bit like giving birth once a month, would it?
No, having a poo is nothing like. My chat is not keeping up. I'm like, where are you reading this shit? But literally shit.
Store up all that poo for a month. That must be bigger than a small child.
I mean, no. Why am I even giving this consideration?
You're thinking about it, which is the best thing.
No, because like babies are like, okay, like low level size, like 5 or 6 pounds, like, and I'm going up to 8-10 pounds. There's nobody's having a 10-pound poo, and I can't believe I'm saying the word poo out loud. Oh my like, I haven't even drank anything yet. I can't be talking about this. No. And honestly, wait, how can you not go for a poo for a month? Like, you would be hospitalized. That's insane.
Can you say that would explain why a lot of people are full of shit?
There you go. That does explain it a little bit.
Sorry, I had to go there because it caught my eye. Whiskey Awards. Scott Matheson is Killowen from Northern Ireland won the best craft producer. So
nice.
Yeah, I think what the point you were getting at is the awards were spread pretty globally. It wasn't like a Scottish focused affair. It was all over the place, which is fantastic. There's been a lot of whiskey chat going on between the BBC and the awards and new distilleries.
I know. Did you see the who has released the I've written it down. Glenrothes, the 51-year-old in the stone decanter that you have to break to get into, and then you send the pieces to a Japanese artist who then molds it back together with gold. That's insane. I would have loved to have been on whatever they were on in the market and branding room when they came up with that. Like, I love that. How so over the top and us, like, that's just crazy. I absolutely love it.
To think that that is a good idea, that people will go for it, and to then go ahead and produce it, knowing that they have a market that's going to buy into that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse or better or crazier.
Like, if I had a spare £37,000, and a lot of, just time in my hands, I'd be smashing.
Yeah, hammer with it to break it. Do you get a free hammer with the ball?
Like a toffee hammer? No, I don't know. I think you've just got to like lob it across your parquet flooring, and see what happens. Pick the bits up and take it off down to your Japanese artist and see what they do with it.
The marketing world has gone bonkers.
Imagine, you can put a nice bunch of daffies in it afterwards and be like, come and check out my broken decanter. Like, what's not to love about that?
It's got Little Brown Dog video written all over it for something in the future, doesn't it?
It does. Like, yeah, are we at the point now where we've pretty much used up all the ideas in terms of bespoke decanters? So now we're just breaking them. That's part.
It'll be returned to you in a bespoke design that's unique.
Yeah, I mean, I do love a nice bottle, and I do love a brand story, a cleverly put together brand story. And like, there is some sort of crazy genius in that. Like, I'd love to meet the person that came up with it and just be like,
I would not like to meet them alone.
In case it just starts like throwing vases at you.
But apparently you do get a custom special hammer when you buy it. So
amazing. Then what do you do with the hammer afterwards? Like, a hammer just for breaking vases. Like, what do you do with that?
Can you, when it gets sent back to you, can you break it again and send it back?
No, I think the £37,000 only covers one smashing.
One rejigging.
Yeah,
send it back saying this one's broken. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you'd be so pissed off though, wouldn't you, if you'd knocked it off your coffee table and broke it again. I mean, I break stuff and put it together beautifully with super glue all the time, but nobody's paying me $37,000 for it. But yeah, in terms of ideas, pretty new, pretty different. Quite excited about that. The tasting notes sound absolutely mental as well.
Do you think the design team were in Leith a couple of weeks ago and just got smashed themselves and were like, wouldn't this be a fun idea?
I think so. I do think so. I mean, you're not really paying for the actual outsides anyway. Like, I don't get why as beautiful as some of them are, I know it's like combining the world of art and like, heritage and whiskey and stuff. But like, what do you actually do with it? Unless you've just got a lot of shelving, like, what do you do with all of these mismatched different decanters? Half of them don't even fit on the body shelf. It's a crazy world.
As Paul McKendrick's put up, as Mark Watt says, you can't drink the packaging, but perhaps we could make it edible. And we're not going back to that. We're not going back to that conversation.
What was that?
The edible underwear.
Yeah, edible underwear, that's right.
Yeah, candy pants.
I think Paul's onto something. If we can, we will
like Easter
get
eggs.
edible.
That would do, wouldn't it? Easter, you get to eat your box before drinking your whiskey.
Yeah, you'd have to be careful where you bite into it because you're just going to lose all the liquid out the side. You'd have to start from the top and gnaw your way down. It'd have to be something that didn't dissolve. Yeah, I'm sure there's some leg room in that.
I think.
Put that in the book of road promises.
Well, Jeremy's got a friend who's part of the design company. It's the same who did the Finn Thompson bottles. See, the Finn Thompson bottles are pretty stunning. They're really nice. I don't have one here. I had one earlier on. But
the story behind them nice because it's like the 9 sides, the 9 generations, isn't it? Of the 9 generations. That seems a lot.
9 generations, and the ceramic cork as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Because his dad or great granddad was the guy behind the Ben Eagles, which is the ceramic miniatures. Great story. Makes sense. Doesn't have to be smashed. Open it and drink it. It's practical. I'm not sure because what if you couldn't find all the bits that you broke and you sent it away, and the Japanese guy's like, "Well, I can't do the job because you haven't."
You're missing you're missing the jigsaw puzzle that you just missing.
Yeah.
Is anybody actually drinking a 51-year-old £37,000 whiskey? Probably not. Like, it's just going in a collection somewhere, really, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. Mark, what we did Curly Whirly packaging the other day.
I did see that. That's epic. Do you love a Curly Whirly?
If you know, you know. Craig Buchan, it's like the reach at Macallan, yet fairly reaching there. Ridiculous packaging. That's a new topic, isn't it?
Yeah. And they did it was like a plaster cast of hands, wasn't it?
Yeah. 95 grand, I think the whiskey was.
Yeah. Because you get loads of clone kits at home, so you could almost recreate that yourself, but they're not usually for your hands. But, who knows what sort of other decanters you can make. Lots of interesting.
Tell, Kat, what would they be for? I'm going to have to pour something.
Who knows?
I'm going to go for Ardnahoe. Talking of excellent branding, how cool is that logo? I'm not sure if you can see it.
The Inverurie Whisky Shop logo that Ardnahoe have decided to put on their bottle.
No, but, it's not quite Inverurie Whisky Shop, but there is a similarity there in real doubt. Yeah, these guys have good taste. Good whiskey, this.
Dave's off to bed. He's going to go and dream of cask investments. Thank you for joining, Dave.
I hope it's not a nightmare, Dave. I hope it's a nice dream. Enjoy it. Well, cheers. Yeah. Have a good night.
I got into my...
You were sly there. Nobody noticed. Nobody picked up at all.
No, I did it when I went to get my charger. Also went for a pee. So I'm sorry.
You can't just go for pee breaks and let me bleat it on myself.
Well, I was going past the bathroom
You
anyway.
Russell?
I know. Yeah. Very famously used to disappear halfway through to go for a pee.
Yeah.
It's my 40th year. It's all downhill after that.
Sorry?
I'm saying it's my 40th year, so it's all downhill after that. Just I'll need to pee every 5 minutes.
What you would say? Birthday blether.
We will. Yeah, big 40th.
Is that Thursday night?
I don't know. I'll check.
Can I not get a day off? You don't care what day it is.
Well, I want to do something fun for my birthday, but I've also got kids, so they don't really do anything fun.
They'll have something planned for you.
Yeah, maybe. It's a Saturday. Oh, my birthday's on a Saturday. That's awesome. I should definitely do something. Yeah,
definitely do a Saturday special blether on your birthday.
Live from Isla and do all the distilleries.
God, can you imagine? We're bad enough sitting in a room, let alone going out and about.
Well, the blether has been on the road a couple of times. I mean, I suppose Leith was our first official blether on the road. Well, I suppose it was Fife. I keep getting Fife and Leith muddled up. That was the official start of the blether on the road, but we need to do a few more of them. Send in your suggestions, guys. Where would you like the blether to be live from? I need to do some mashups as well, because we're going to try and meet up with a couple other kind of online chat people and do sort of a little bit like we did with Aquavita guys, and see if we can do some crossovers, which would be a lot of fun. And now that my internet works a bit better, it'll be a lot easier as well.
Absolutely. It's been touch wood. There's been no disruptions at all. Don't suggest that the kids watch this and then get you a whiskey decanter for your birthday. It's from Barry.
I don't know. Yeah, I can imagine my kids going into a shop to buy a whiskey decanter. My youngest son, I remember him once telling his teacher that his mum's job was just having whiskey, like an alcoholic.
Yeah, I can imagine that's what going to be Killian will be telling his teachers as well. Mark, what wants us to go down to Campbellton? We'll do a blether from Campbelltown.
Yes, please.
That'll be a week. That'll be a few nights because there's no way I'm driving home that Friday morning.
Oh God, no! And like Campbellton's just so bloody far away. Can you not get that shit sorted out? Like Jesus Christ! But yeah, we definitely head down there. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be good. You've been down, haven't you? You were down last year.
Was it last year? No, it was the year before that.
Was it as long ago as that?
It was, because last year I was in somewhere else. The place that's got the Victorian toilets. Doesn't matter. I'll remember. There was a year before that. Dunoon. I was in Dunoon, and what's the island that's got the Victorian toilets that you can go across to from Dunoon? Somebody help me out. But no, the year before that I went down to Campbellton because I used to live in Oban, and I was like, well, no, I didn't live in Oban. I live near Oban. And I was like, why have I never been to Campbellton before? It's because it's so fucking far away. Got to Oban, and it was still like another 2 hours away from Oban, but definitely worth it once you get there. And then all the ferries were off. So
you should do the blether in front of a live. We do a blether in front of a live audience every week, Mark.
Half a year probably still alive. No, it wasn't Rossi. Where did I go? But anyway, when I went to Campbellton, went over to Gia as well, which is so beautiful. Oh, like if you haven't been, go over to Gia. It's just really, really pretty. And like so much milk, dairies, milking places, dairies down in that part of the world. I had no idea. Butte. Yes, that's where I went. I went to the Isle of Butte.
Right.
Well, I think he means Butte. Unless it's a suggestion. Yes, that's where I went. Well done, Ed. That's where I went last year. That's beautiful too. But no, Gia was really nice. And then I found this little wee creamery that had like homemade ice cream, and it was Bamore and brambles. Really lovely. Why am I just telling you where I've been? Because every single week I just tell you where I've been.
You've just gone off on a wee tangent.
And then I went there, and then I went there, and I'd really like to go there. Well, when we were at the festival down at Leith the other weekend there, how many people did I bump into that have lived in the same places that I've lived in? Like the guy from the Lost Distilleries literally lives in Oban. We know the same people.
Yeah, there was two people we met there. Oh, the lady on the train was from Oban as well, wasn't she?
The one that pointed out Syphilis Island. Yes.
Maybe we should go there and do a blether.
No. Oh, right. Sorry. Rossi is the town on Bute with the toilets. Yes, you're right. Sorry, Barry. Yeah, of course. Yes. Okay, so I went there. Really nice toilets, Victorian toilets. If you haven't been, you should go along.
What was the name of the proper name of Syphilis Island again?
It was in the Firth of Forth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Going through past what's the little village we're going through?
Burnt Island is the.
Yeah.
Which isn't an island.
No, it was that beautiful little village.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Mike and I were sitting on a train heading down to the festival next to this lovely, these two women that were heading off to do some shopping, and they'd overpacked the train because they'd only had 2 carriages because our train had broken down. So these 2 poor little old ladies were kind of hemmed in next to us. And I was like, oh, wow, look at that little island over there. It's beautiful. And then this little lady was like, yeah, that's where they used to put the people with syphilis. Like, all right. There you go.
Inchkeith. It was. Tim Powell's has just looked it up. Inchkeith. I knew I recognized it because Inch and Keith are both not far away from us.
Oh yeah, neither of which are famous for syphilis. Well, maybe Keith. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Only classy people come out of Inch, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, Inchkeith Island. Yeah, so that's when James the 4th or the 5th sent people back in the 1400s. And who was it who thought they would, if you were born without a without a native language, you would all of a sudden just start talking Hebrew?
No, that was the king that did that. He was experimented, and then I don't think it was the king that put people there for syphilis. I think that was just a general consensus. But like the king decided to try and experiment with people.
Everyone just agreed. Yeah, that's a good place to go.
Just put them up there. Although, like, you know, if you've already got syphilis, or like, you know, and you're out there with everybody else that's got it, like, what a party that's going to be. Like, nobody cares. Like,
great place to go.
Yeah. What happens on Inchkeith stays on Inchkeith. Yeah, I agree with Kat on Keith. I know, right? Get my hair done there, but like, you know, wipe the seat before I sit down.
Leanne's just joined us, Scotch in the Bayou. Great to see you at the festival, Leanne. And yes, you've picked a very appropriate time to be joining.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're now on to syphilis.
Yeah.
For some reason. But that was a great chat, talking about the island more than what it was famous for. Yes.
You meet all sorts of people when you just get chatting on a train. They were lovely.
I love Alan Smith's suggestion for a t-shirt. Come for the whiskey, stay for the syphilis.
Yeah, who's all going to want to wear that one? I don't think you'd pull wearing that anyway, but well, we'll put it on the list of possible slogans for t-shirts. Well, we've already got the bloody herpes mention on one of them.
Yeah.
Are all these t-shirts just going to be stupid things I've said by accident?
Pretty much. I've noticed that none of my quotes are here, so I'm loving that. I think this is all on you to supply the merch for the letter.
I think one of them will be Paul Dempsey with his trebucheting people over to Ireland. Yeah. But you know, it's educational. Not only do we talk intensively about whiskey for about an hour.
It was an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah, we've also got history, sexual health, places cats like to go on holidays. Yeah.
Places cats live.
I need a whole hour for that, to be honest. Like, don't even get me started. Yeah, it's who needs a guest? Like, honestly, we're just nailing this ourselves. Yeah, Paul, if you're still watching, like, stand yourself down. We're sorted. Not really. We do want you on.
Yeah, please don't. I don't think we could do this another week. We've had lots to talk about because it's been quite an exciting week. I am going to bring it slightly back to whiskey. Okay. Have you got anything that you're excited about this year that's coming up that you think can't wait till that happens? I
am actually really excited about the tall ships coming into Aberdeen and all the fuss that's going to bring, because we are sponsoring that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Like the numbers are saying of people that's going to come into the city is crazy.
Like 400,000 people or something like that they're expecting in the area, which is about half the city again.
I know, it's just, and like they've released the bands, the names of the bands playing. It's just going to be, it's just going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be part of it. And yeah, like literally we are the sort of the whiskey sponsoring the whole thing. So we're going to be spread out through all of it, which is going to be really, really cool. So I'm actually really excited about that. Still a lot of planning and things to get in place, but yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I can't wait. I was there, but the last time they were in, I think it was Was it 94,
They say, like,
93, 94?
okay.
I think it was. And then I remember they were saying why it wasn't coming back. It's because somebody forgot to return a form. Somebody in the I don't know.
council.
We'll blame the council. It's probably their fault. They forgot to fill in a form, so that just put them to the bottom of the rung for the next like 20 years. So they had to work their way back up. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty epic. The town, the Shire, because you're not going to house all those people in the town. It's going to be the Shire's going to thrive in it as well, and hopefully distilleries and hotels and bed and breakfasts and all that are going to be able to thrive.
I think it's going to have a good good impact on everybody, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to like highlight a lot of the really cool things that are in the area in Aberdeen that people just don't know about too. Because like Aberdeen's not a massive holiday hotspot.
No,
not really. But there's so much here. We've got castles. We've got like distilleries. We've got a lot of cool shit. It's not really good.
Yeah. Stone circles and
so many stone circles
and mountains and yeah.
We've got some beautiful beaches. Really, really beautiful beaches. So no. And we've got actually one of the lowest rainfalls in Scotland. We're actually quite a nice, dry, temperate climate up here. If you want a tan, come to Aberdeenshire. Last week of July.
Just for that week.
That week only.
I'm being distracted by the hair. It was
it's done the opposite. Usually it comes down, it's gone up.
I know. It was that's what I think that must have been what was distracting me.
So anyway, it's a lot to disappear up there.
We've got Jeff Whisky. Just saying hello to Jeff. Gutted I didn't get the chance to catch up at the festival. He was kicking about. I think you saw him and pointed him out, but we didn't get to catch up. Or so somebody mentioned to me that Jeff was kicking around. I try to keep my eye out for a guy with sunglasses on, but didn't see.
Yes, I think Frank mentioned that he was there, wasn't it? And then we were going to look for him, and then we didn't. But yeah, there was just so many people there. It was so hard to get around everybody.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see everybody chatting to each other as well, though. I love it.
Just catching up a wee bit. Got to admit, it's a tad better than Brechin. Aberdeen, I think, are you talking about? It's a tad better than Brechin. Oh, Brechin's got the, it's maybe to the 26th, is it, that the Glencadam distillery is open? I think it is this year.
Oh, is it? That's really cool.
So. They're opening to the public. Danny might be able to confirm that if you're Brechin based, but
we need to get.
That's something to look forward to because that's been on the go. That's been almost there for some time. Obviously, COVID delays and whatnot, but it'd be great to get there.
Ian up and find it.
Yeah. Karen says hi. By the way, where's Roy speaking to Scotch on the Bayou? Saying Karen says hi. What Alan is saying, what's a t-shirt? I need to know what Alan thinks would be a good t-shirt.
My chat's not. I'm gonna have to let you do the chat because mine's like really. Everything's like a little bit laggy tonight. I'm gonna let you scroll back up and find that. I can only see half of. Like I can't even see half the chat that you're reading out. The whole bottom of my page is missing.
All right.
Yeah, it's really weird. The whole poo chat, I couldn't even see where that was. We're not going back to that, but
that didn't happen. I just threw that at you to get you to talk about poo for a bit.
Fair enough. Kat, the sign behind you, mum rules. What are they? Oh, like what's my rules? No, I think it's like mum rules because you're like, I'm awesome. And it's like I am so down with the kids. Like, bro, you wouldn't even know how down with the kids I am. I think it's because it's. Oh wait, I do have to look at weather.
There you go.
I think it's. I know. It's because it's a ruler. It's like, and it's a mum rules. My 16-year-old son is going to be absolutely mortified that you can all see that, and I'm actually talking about it because I think he made that when he was about, no, well, not 16, maybe about 10 or something. But yeah, I found it. Of course, I still have it. He made a massive sign as well. That I used to keep up on the wall. It just was like, he was really into just hammering stuff and saws. So he made a big sign that said "Mum." I don't have that up anymore. He specifically told me I had to take it down. But yeah. And the worst, I put up all their pictures and just assume everything they did is genius, because it is. You'll have that with Killian drawing you like little wee green faces that's meant to be you. You have to put up in the fridge.
Can't wait. It'll be great. We've already got a picture that he did up in the fridge. I say picture. It's
scribbles.
What a 18-month can do. Is that a bottle of Roku that your mum rule sign is off? Is that the Roku gin?
It is Roku, yeah.
It's a cool distinct bottle, isn't it? Yeah.
It is very, very cool. I'm not a massive gin fan, but I do like that one. And if Andrew's still watching, I like his one. It's pretty much, which you know, because it's pretty much the only one I used to sell in your shop.
We knew on a Monday, like, the shop would be empty of Little Brown Dog gin and empty of Glengarry.
The Glengarry sells itself. I didn't really need to do much with that. But yeah, the gin. I've actually got Andrew's Glengarry to pick up from you because I bought it ages ago and have never been down for it.
I think we've drank it. I think we've just been sipping away at it since it was paid for. So sorry.
Fine. Yeah. I'll bear that in mind when we release our single can.
I'll write this down. I need to come up to you guys and get some stock for the weekend.
Well, I am there at the weekend. We could probably just do. No. Day off tomorrow.
I'll go up tomorrow then.
Such an arse. We could probably do this planning like when we are not on.
Yeah. Let's speak to the guys at home and that organise our.
This is literally what we do after the chat, guys. When everybody's like not on anymore and we're like not live. We'll just sit and organise the diary for the week and just be really boring.
That was one thing I was meant to. I was going to say is we have to remember that it's not just us. There are people watching at home.
Yes, definitely. Not saying anything
I don't know if
inappropriate.
Mark's still watching, but one of the best chats I think I've ever had was with him after a blether. We sat for hours and I was completely smashed by the end of it. And Mark
whilst alive, or this is afterwards?
No, afterwards. But I really wish there was some way of recording without being live because the chat was brilliant. We'll have to get him back on and do a. Maybe we'll go down to Campbelltown. We'll envelop the whole thing. We'll get down to Campbelltown. We'll do it in front of a live audience with Mark as our guest.
That would be really, so. Quite a few folk in the chat are saying they would love it as a live audience. Like, as in, like, I guess, just sitting in a room doing this and having audience interaction. Like, if it is something people are interested in. Yeah, where would we have it? It would have to be, because our blethering are quite widespread, aren't you guys? Like, you're not all anywhere based. So, like, give us your suggestions. Where would you like the live blether to be from if it was to happen? Campbelltown would be awesome, but it's quite a commute for folk to get down there.
Yeah.
Unless we tied it in with like the festival. We just hired out the town hall for a bit, or like, can we afford the town hall? Might have to do like somebody's back room, downstairs toilet.
The Edinburgh Fringe. Maybe.
Fringe would be that's a really good shout, but quite pricey. for us
We
anyway.
would have to charge people, unfortunately. Would people pay to come and see us chat shit for a couple of hours when maybe they could watch us on free? A packed Hamden. I like
Yeah, I know,
Mark's
right?
enthusiasm.
Do you know? I think the people will come. I think the people will come. Hamden's like 30-seater capacity, right?
Yeah, maybe not in the stadium. Maybe one of the kind of boardrooms or something like that within Hamden would be more realistic. But I
Yeah.
would love to do something like that.
What would you
Maybe
want it to be about, though? Would it just be like a blether, as in like you had a couple guests on, or would it be like this where we'd chosen a topic and we're opening up to people to like join in and chat about? Because the chat's been really good tonight. Everybody's just been quite on it with sort of the new distilleries and festival kind of chat.
yeah. I don't know. We would have to think about it. There would have to be. We could maybe do it at the next festival, the indie festival. We'll get up.
We could do a synesthesia chat, which is really hard to say.
Yeah, we were speaking about that with Mark at the show, weren't we? That was. And I was thinking about that today. Actually, I thought when you smell a color, does everyone with that condition smell the same color, or is it very unique to the person?
So from what I understand, it's unique to the person, and everybody kind of has different different strains of it, if you like. So I think Mark's wife Kate had said that he sees it in flashes of color, which is quite similar to what I do. And sometimes so I struggle with tasting notes. I love making tasting notes, but I struggle with it because I do it in color first, and then I overthink it. I'm like, oh my god, am I just associating different aromas with the color now? Like, have I just polluted my own like mind? And then I find it quite stressful. But yeah, so it's unique to the person. Yeah, so we probably wouldn't get the same
Very
color.
similar to tasting notes anyway, or nosing notes.
Yeah,
where
no,
everyone
exactly.
has their own unique. But yeah, it's.
But yeah, I mean, I thought everybody did this when you first mentioned it, that there was somebody in industry that smelled in color. I was like, yeah, we all do though, right? And I kind of always just played around in my head until like I was sitting doing tasting notes one night and I was like, what the fuck? Like, surely this is not just me. And I realized it was this whole synesthesia thing. And that's why I struggled with certain things at school, because I used to, well, I still do. I associate color with different numbers and letters. I would struggle with like RS 704. I would always get back to front and muddled up because they're all red. And I still get muddled up with them. And there's and it's not for everything. I don't see everything in color, but to me certain things are in different colors, which is why I do taste notes in color, which is why when I'm writing down study notes, if I'm trying to like write a new script, I have to do it in blocks of color to remember, and it's always on concept. It's just a quirk.
It's one of many.
I'm taking that as a compliment. Wouldn't do to all be the same.
Well, exactly.
But no, there's definitely a whole chat now, because I know Stuart Dick is the same.
Oh, is he?
Yes. It is. So
We've got him coming up in a couple of weeks. Then the end of April, he's coming up to the shop to do a tasting with Torre Egg and Mossburn.
And that'd be cool. Need to get him on the blether.
I think he is that Thursday, because it's a Friday afternoon. He's doing a barrel top. The Friday night he's doing a tasting. I think he's going to come up on Thursday and do a live.
That's right.
In the shop blether.
I think I've got him in the diary. Mm-hmm. That'd be good fun. Also come down to the shop and get your camera that just follows people to the bathroom. Your voyeuristic camera.
I feel like that needs an explanation. I don't have a camera that just follows people to the bathroom.
you probably do need to explain that a bit further. That's okay.
So when we host a tasting in the tasting room, we connect the camera to our laptop so that we can fit about 16, 18 people in the tasting room. That leaves us another 10 drams in the bottle that we can send to folks' houses. So we send little packs out to your house. You can join in through Zoom, and we have a camera set up. But it's one of these mini Osbots. And if you get the camera's attention through a wave or a hand up or something, it'll focus on you. And then if you get up and walk to the toilet, the camera will pan round and follow you until you come out the toilet, and then it'll follow you back because it registers your face. So yes, technically I've got a camera that will watch you go to the toilet, but it's not set up by me, and there is 2 doors between the camera and the toilet, so it doesn't see anything. It's not like literally following you. So don't let that put you off coming into one of our tastings virtually. Please.
Yes, it's not. There's nothing dodgy in there at all. It's just. It's just quite an annoying quirk when you're trying to do some sort of live chat and the camera just pans off to the left.
It's worse when I don't notice it, because if I'm hosting, like, you tend to focus on the room. You look up to the guys at home and you're like, because what we see is like a Zoom screen on the camera. So the like where I am here is quite small in terms of the zoom, so you don't notice where the camera's looking at. You just assume it's looking at the room, but then every so often you glance in, it's looking at the corridor, and you're like, oh shit, no, you have to go and change it. Hasn't happened recently, thank God, touch wood. Well, we're okay.
We've got it fixed.
So well, Ed has been an idea. We're going to jump back a couple of topics, or maybe the last thought. Ed hears music in terms of taste or flavor. That's quite an interesting one.
That's interesting. So he hears music. So hang on. Hears music in terms of flavors. When you smell something, it reminds you of a song. I haven't heard.
He hears music, it reminds him of a flavor. So he hears Coldplay, it reminds him of
okay.
That kind of thing.
We're not going back. I'm not going back into poo chat.
No. Okay. I can't. Mushrooms. I like mushrooms. I don't know why I said mushrooms.
We did. So we've done that before as well. Actually, the bands. What whiskey would a band be, or what band would a whiskey be? But yeah, that's quite cool, because some synesthesia is with music, isn't it? As in, you hear music and color. Like, our brains are just really crazy big wet blobs, aren't they? Like, they just do all sorts of really interesting things.
Some are more crazy than others. Definitely.
I think that was a general point. I don't think that was directed at anyone.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think, it's so cool how unique we are. In everything. Somebody put a comment there, is that we all, no one will ever know that, but we all see in different colors. Red to me is different to red to you. It's, but we always just recognize it as red because that's what we're told, that's what that color is. But we will all see it slightly different.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's like people, and I just found this out recently as well, when you're like thinking about something, sometimes, so some people will think with a voice internally, and some people don't. Like, it's just images and pictures.
I cannot imagine not having a voice in my head.
Yeah, so you've got a voice too.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. But yeah, I can't. Yeah, like, I just couldn't get my head around that people just don't hear that. It sounds stupid. That people just don't hear voices in their head, because I hear voices all the time.
Well, I do wonder, like, say, Killian, for example, doesn't know words. So how does he program?
What's in his head?
Because he can't think. that voice in like what's in my head because we've learned the language now. He can't think like that. So how does he think? What does instinct look like or sound like in your head? So I get certain levels of it, but surely when you learn a language, you can tell yourself.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, what age do you start actually vocalizing that inside your head?
Yeah. But I guess deaf people, if you're born deaf, you would have no idea how a voice sounds in your head because you wouldn't know how to form those words.
No, and then like when you're reading.
Yeah,
like,
Mark's is better comment. How would you read a book?
Yeah, exactly. When you're reading, are you just seeing pictures? So we need somebody on the chat who hasn't got an internal voice to tell us, because all of us obviously have got internal voices. My family struggles to see pictures in the head, can't remember the name. Okay, so you can't like picture stuff that's being described. I struggle with that a little bit. You know, like when people are describing.
Maybe that's why Jeremy's so good at facts and numbers and things, because that's how his brain works. It's not in images; it's through numbers and words.
Yeah, that could be it. It's interesting, isn't it? Maybe we need a blether on the road to do with brains. The brain.
I don't know how you do it, but you make like some really intelligent observations, and then you come out with we need to talk about parades. And I get what you're meaning. I've just got it, Jeremy. I've just got this image in my head now of us standing on a stage with a brain in between, and like prodding it.
Just poking it. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Get Brian Cox on, and like, I can't think of anybody else intelligent.
But Jeremy, does that translate into when you're sleeping as well? Like, do you sleep with images in your head, like a normal dream? Or, I don't know. I did not expect this twist in the-blether tonight.
No, and I love how invested people are in it as well. We're finding out a lot about our blether, and it's very cool. It's got quite philosophical. Well, not philosophical. Quite. Yeah.
Scientific almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Well, there you go. Next time we don't have a guest, we'll just do the brain chat.
Nobody's admitting to not having an internal voice. I mean, some people I'm sure have many.
Maybe it's rare.
Yeah, it must be. Like I said, there's certain categories of people I can see how they would have that. You know, like I said, if you're born deaf, you never heard voices, or when you're young, you don't know the language. You know, I can understand that, but
wait, we've got one. David Muir, are you a person that hasn't got an internal voice?
I think he's answering to when I said some people have many voices in their head. I think that's one of his popping up.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
Well, okay, so it must just be quite a rare quirk then. But yeah, maybe we'll put it on the the-blether stories and see if anybody wants to secretly admit into the stories that they're a non-internal voice.
I guess you just have to verbalize everything. Is that why people talk to themselves? Because they don't have a voice in here? They just have to say it out loud, and that's how they communicate with themselves?
Yeah, potentially. Because like when you think how often you use that internal voice inside your head, like what is the alternative?
Yeah, you must have it when you're on tour and you're thinking to yourself, would you just shut? Wow. I have it in the shop all the time, and that's just with the staff.
Yeah, I know. What do you actually? Yeah, in that moment, like when you are just saying out loud, like just shut up, or like wish you would just fuck off or something. Like, what's the alternative to that? Like an image of somebody, like, I don't know, stabbing them in the back, or how do you vocalize that in your head? But yeah, maybe we do just need an expert on, Ed, to explain.
Yeah. We will go and find an
Megan.
expert.
Let's get Megan on. She's a brain. Yeah. She would know that. She's awesome. Maybe we'll get Megan on again.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's go give her a call. Let's get her on now, because the next time I might not be so interested.
It's quite late for a random Megan. We're just thinking about brains. She probably knows me well enough not to be thrown by that, but yeah. I like where it's gone tonight. We've gone down a rabbit hole.
We have. I'm quite loath to end it at that, because everyone's going to go off with like sore brains and go into weird and wonderful dreams.
I love that. We've left you all with something to think about. We've given serious discussion to important topics in the whiskey industry. We've mentioned poo, which I can't say without saying in a posh accent. And we've talked about our brains. Yeah, I'm here for
everything in between, from syphilis to herpes to socks. Been great fun. With a serious undertone of cask investment. I think I'm going to go off and watch that show just now.
Yeah.
And see what. It'll be interesting to see what the chat is about tonight and tomorrow on the old Book of Face and Instagram, and see what people's thoughts are.
Yeah.
And
Paul's internal voice is really posh for some reason, and mine is also, but I think it's because I was meant to be born posh, and there was just an accident with my breeding.
With your what? Your breeding?
Well, it's like my car. I can't tell people what I have, because I just sound like I'm saying the word car in a posh accent. Because when I phoned up to ask about it, she's like, which one are you looking at on the website? I said, oh, it's the Ford car. She's like, yes, but which car? I'm like, no, the Ford car. But I think I just lived with the posh people for too long.
The car. Oh, no. So, yeah. No, I'm with Mark. Mine is definitely not posh. Although sometimes if I'm imagining like I'm going to have a word with somebody, or I need to speak to somebody, when I hear my conversation in my head, it's a little bit more posh than it comes out, I guess.
Yeah, like your phone voice. Like if you...
Yeah, a little bit like that, yeah.
Like your Hyacinth Bouquet voice. Well, there we go. That's in a whole other chat as well, about how you sound when you watch yourself back, because I cannot watch myself back. I hate the sound of my voice. Watch myself back. I'm so squeaky and Scottish. It's unreal.
Out there than they do in here,
100%.
Audibly rather than internally.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
It's
anyway.
And yeah, I mean, I was just about to mention accents. It's like, do people know they've got an accent? And that's a whole other thing as well. It's like you grow up in Glasgow, or like Scousers, they just think they talk normally. I don't have an accent. It's like,
no, you're right, because I didn't think I had an accent at all until I had to record the little visitor film that we do.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that I sounded like Scottish. Like, obviously I'm Scottish, but I had no idea I sounded Scottish. There is nothing wrong with your accent, Paul. You've got a lovely accent, and you should fully embrace that, internal and external.
Very much looking forward to hearing it next week.
Exactly. So that's a good tie-in to announcing who's next week's guest is, which we did about an hour ago. But yeah, we have probably one of the hardest working men in the industry, because I see you at every single festival. So yeah, we've got Paul, who is our brand ambassador for, I always say Lady of the Glen, but it's not. It's Hannah Whiskey Merchants, isn't it? It's the proper title. So
yeah,
we've got people joining us next week.
So we'll find out why it's not Lady of the Glen, but Hannah Whiskey Merchants next week. So if you want to know more about, I think, the 2 times winner of the Indie Bottler of the Year from the World Whisky Awards, or Whisky Magazine Awards, and 1-time winner of the Scotch Whisky Awards Indie Bottler of the Year. I hope I've got that right. I think he won it 3 times in a row, or twice in 1 year and 1 year afterwards. Bloody good whiskey makers, I think, is what that stands for.
Very pretty bottles.
Very pretty bottles. They've lost the lilac. They've gone cream, making it a bit more less feminine, shall we say?
You can say that.
Can I say that?
No. You know, I was watching you and I knew that's where you were going. I was like, do I intervene or do I just let him do it?
We'll have this chat next week.
We can pick this up with Paul next week. So yeah, we will have a guest next week, unless Paul's watched all of this and thought, there's no way I am going live with that pair of idiots. They spoke about poo and brains. So yeah.
I mean, he's still here watching, so, you know.
Exactly.
He's maybe just wondering how low the bar can go.
I think we reached it. I do think we reached it.
Jeremy saying the-blether's going to get cancelled. I think we've talked about more offensive matters than me thinking purple is a feminine colour.
Syphilis was mentioned quite a lot. So yeah, I think we're all right, to be honest. Who's going to cancel us anyway? Like, nobody cares.
YouTube?
I mean, I've seen what my kids watch on YouTube. We ain't getting cancelled for this shit. I think we're safe for now.
Yeah. I think we're all right. Guys, it's been a blast.
It's been fun.
I was quite wary of coming on with that again. I know we've done it before, but it's been great fun chatting to you. Thank you so much for the chat, because it really does give us a lot of things to talk about. So keep the comments coming throughout our. For those watching on YouTube, you can't see this comment, so you don't know why we just burst out laughing. But Paul is watching on Facebook, and he's going to get his edible underwear ready for next week. I cannot wait now for that.
That's worth tuning in for. Let's hope that Paul doesn't need to get up and get his charger next week, or maybe let's hope he does. Let's hope he does. Don't spill your drink in your
underwear. If it's top half, bottom half, it could be like a, what do you call them?
Mankini.
Mankini, yeah, an edible mankini. I really hope Paul turns up in the blether next week in an edible mankini.
Edible mankini. He's going to be uncomfortable by the hour mark, so it might be a short chat.
No, because he'll have chewed it off by then and everything will just be free.
No, there's a thought to leave you all with. Something to look forward to next week. You do know that this is going to be picked up again next week, Paul, and it's all we're going to talk about is you in your edible underwear.
I can't wait to pick a picture and doctor that for the chat thumbnail.
For the Bible. Maybe we should all wear edible underwear. Yeah, all go balls in. We have to stop
next week to find out.
On that, we should probably leave it for now.
Yeah. And Jeremy is so very thankful he can't visualize pictures.
Yeah, small mercies.
Good night, guys. Slange. Take care.
Slange.
See you next week, if not before.